Okay, so I am surprised that I haven't done a video on this topic yet. Probably been skirting around it, but uh, it is something that I feel is going to be something that is interesting to most of us INTJ females, maybe all the INTJs. It's that concept of sapiosexuality. So I don't know if YouTube is gonna just kill this because of the fact that there's certain words in this, but whatever. So the question is, are all of us INTJs sapiosexual? Now, for myself, I actually went and did the little quiz that's free online just to see because uh, over the course of my life, most people find it interesting who I end up in serious relationships versus who I date more casually. And it really comes down to that interest of a person that is an intelligent contributor to your experience. So I just did a quick Google on it just to see just some things that could kind of launch off on this. And so I pulled it off of this uh, website called regain.us. So if I will remember, I'm going to try and put it in the stuff below. But what they say is sapiosexuality is when you're stimulated by how someone uses their mind, and it stands out more than the physical features of that person. So, speaking to that, just like every human, we are naturally drawn to the type of person that we find attractive. So everyone's got their own nuances, but the fact is that there's somewhat of a convention of what would be determined to be a more attractive person rather than, the average Joe. So obviously you initially might be pulled and find that person interesting when you first see them. The other part is when the intelligence comes in. So I'll give you an example where there was an individual, a guy that he could have sat beside me a million times while I was working, as you know, usually doing my work via a pub to get out of the house and working on my computer. And I would have not had any idea if he was attractive or not because I wasn't paying attention to him. And this individual, on this particular day, I was in a mood where I just wanted to get my work done. I had a ton of editing to do, and I was facing away intentionally from other people that was in the restaurant. And this individual made this comment, and the comment was so intriguing, so out of context for the location and the people that usually are in there, that I had to turn around and just tell him, where it was like, wow, I'm not used to hearing that from coming out of somebody's mouth here. And from there, it turned into a relationship. Obviously, I'm compressing this, but the point is that yes, he was conventionally fairly handsome, but it was this pull by something that articulated to me that this person had potentially, more wealth of knowledge than, the everyday fella that would be around. So then I won't go too much further into that on this, but one thing for me that actually the article does bring up as well is that this intelligence and the attraction that comes along with it comes with the element of something unexpected. So like I mentioned, I didn't see this person. I wasn't looking to find anything interesting around me. I was focused. But something unexpected, something that I recognized subconsciously that there was some depth, I guess, some context that you don't usually see, made me need to turn around. And that obviously starts to pique your interest, however you say it. And then it becomes somewhat intriguing. There's like a puzzle there. And then that intriguingness is what seems to draw, at least myself, into wanting to understand more about this person, like how that person thinks, what that person has done for a living, how he views different topics, not necessarily the current events of the day. So this part kind of works for most people, I'm going to say in a very stereotypical way. For most people, you had me at a hello when it comes to what they look like, what their presentation is. Are they confident? Are they, at ease? Are they funny? And those are all great traits. And obviously, lots of us love to have those types of traits or have our partners have those types of traits. But to be able to exchange with someone this type of level of information sharing that enriches your own everyday life and be able to have that constantly as a part of your life is very attractive. So they had some signs on this article that I pulled out. They weren't all something that I felt. So if you want ever a video on breaking down which ones I thought were something that led to me determining to be a sapiosexual person or not, then let me know. I didn't do too much digging because it's mostly experiential. That's the whole point of this site. But the number one was deep conversations are a turn on. Now, by no means do I like having a deep conversation 24/7. However, the ability to have deep, thoughtful conversations about interesting things at certain times is incredibly attractive because it shows a level of depth of where they're exploring something to a point that they have thought of different angles and have some theories themselves on certain topics. They're passionate about something. However, for me, a lot of that intelligence I find impressive enough in just banter. So in just the communication of quick thoughtfulness and ways of showing that, there's observations being done within that individual. So they're noticing things around them. They're pulling things from different parts of their lives to enrich a statement. Something that the more I see it, the more you naturally want to potentially absorb that type of mindset in your own growth and vice versa. So I'm just looking at my notes as always. For me personally, it's funny because you would think that if you are a sapiosexual, and I could be wrong, people, please definitely leave in a comment if you have different experience. However, I was to my mind, I thought that would just determine maybe a certain type of individual. So I'd always, for an example, go for a professor because I liked someone that is in, that type of research and focused theoretical thought, I guess. And what I found looking back is in my major relationships over the years, two of them were actually very spatially intelligent, and they didn't come with degrees. They didn't come with big words. They didn't sit and, fester in journal research, which me personally, I actually do like reading research papers. But instead, they were so mechanically understanding the intuitive physicality and the physics and the basics of how something works. So one was in construction, in doing being in charge of multi-million-dollar projects and thinking of creative new ways to incorporate the new expectations regarding, say, minimizing environmental impacts and utilizing the world around that particular project in order to optimize what their objectives are. The other one was really interesting in the fact that he used pragmatic knowledge to work his way up in an industry that was very volatile, very new, and moving to innovate very fast. And he became very respected for a type of very dangerous area of work as his expertise. And it wasn't that he was using big words. He wasn't using fancy terms. He wasn't bragging about it. It was incorporated as part of his functioning being, and that was very attractive to me. The other two were more, the university type track, had more large words, liked talking more on the theoretical potentially, but they were also witty and had different layers. So even though they would present one way, but deep down you'd find out, there is an interest in this, and that whole attraction to a person that is naturally exercising his brain, and consciously doing it, not as the unconscious, potentially on the spatial side, the practical side. So the other thing that they mention as a sign is it's someone who challenges your conceptions or brings new ideas and information. And that is 100% for me. That is by far one of the most amazing parts of finding someone attractive. It's not an argument. It's nothing like that. It is seeing how their way of receiving information in from the world has contributed to this level of unique thought that provides something that either I may not have seen before or exposes me to a new world of interesting ideas and experiences, and the passion that can be built off of just by having someone that is also interested in looking deeper rather than the superficial of especially now in this day and age. And I want to say that's not the case, but we've really dialed out the idea of basic intelligence, or the dumbed down people's abilities that they already inherently have, because it might not, it's too easy to fly into the world of things that are transient and well, reality based or current based. So yes, I find that very interesting. And also that delves into the humor side too, because the idea of building off of each other's ideas and information allows that type of rapport that goes faster and quicker as you get to know each other, and that attraction that comes from rapport and mirroring and understanding the limits of, you know, what each other bring to the table and above and beyond. The other one that I wanted to mention is that intelligence always trumps looks. So we mentioned it quickly earlier, but can't say enough. You can be the hottest person. You could be Brad Pitt as the stereotype. But if you have nothing of something that is unique and, thoughtful, mindful in the way you delivered yourself, that is different than everybody else, that becomes boring. And this is beyond just superficial talk. This is getting to the point of where you can't establish anything, because there's nothing to hook onto when it is flat. So it doesn't matter how good looking they are. The initial attraction just kind of won't even take off from there, really, because there's nothing to delve into where you feel that there's expansion there. And also it goes the other way, where intelligence on a guy that you would not think twice about, you would think, all of a sudden comes in and, you know, talks about how, or all of a sudden you realize that he speaks full Latvian, and, for example, I'm just making this idea up, but also plays the harmonica, and then, but understands the intonation or the breath work needed for doing that harmonica properly. But just, it's that uniqueness that intelligence brings. Last one that I wanted to bring up is, again, getting into the details. So the attraction is increased every time you get to learn a new detail. So, for example, one individual that I was in a serious relationship with, this individual would sit there and watch YouTube videos of competitive eaters for hours. And I would sit there and be like, okay, that's interesting, but like, I know everyone's got their unique thing that they're into, but I just would look at him, because then at the same time, I was like, hey, do you want to play chess? I'm just learning. I'm not very good. Do you play? And he's like, oh, a little bit. And I'm like, okay. So I start playing, and he's a flippin' genius at playing. And it turns out he's been playing, his dad taught him since he was 4. But he didn't tell me that at the time. But so it's just this angle, because then all of a sudden him playing chess opens up this whole different concept of, you know, the traits needed to be able to play chess, and then also play chess well. And so it brings this richness and context that is so much more attractive than someone who is just the guy that watches YouTube videos of people eating large amounts of food. So that is the main points that I wanted to get across. The idea, though, of making everyday life interesting, and that scope, that ability to form a bond of, and I would argue that it requires mutual respect. You can't have a sapiosexual kind of attraction unless there is a mutual respect, because a person that is attracted that way to another individual, if that other individual is just cutting you down and thinking that they're elitist and better than you, then it's going to kill it before it even starts. And we'd be able to suss that out pretty quick. But the ability to spend in whatever amount of time talking, building, enriching your own mind, as well as what you achieve potentially together using these, mutually interesting, intelligent brains. And by no means am I saying I'm some sort of Mensa candidate, but the point is that it is something that is beyond just being able to look at a person and check out their great six-pack and think that that is going to be it. So this, for me, is something that is a non-negotiable. It's instinctual. I should mention that pretty strongly. It comes without conditioning. It didn't come where I learned it and that's what I was supposed to do. This was something innate for me. And I'm just checking out this one last note. The idea of having someone where you, no matter what, it goes past like as looks fade when you get older type thing. This gets into the meat of that this person is going to be a spark plug for a long time, and that never gets dull. So anyways, love to hear your thoughts on this, and love to hear if any other INTJs have similar or opposite thoughts regarding this. As always, please, I love your comments, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. It's great to see the community come out and speak to this, and especially INTJ females. Please, I'd love to hear your thoughts of all ages. I love that about this community. So thanks so much, and hopefully I'll post again soon.